Hello, everyone. This is Intelligence Mod. I'm Clint.
And I'm Theo.
And today we're going to be wildly speculative on what's going on with the Iron Kingdom's Requiem Kickstarter that we both kickstarted.
We
Evan,
we did it on day one.
I
Well,
was
I did
day,
it. I was day one. He
I was
was
day
day
two.
two.
I was. We both kickstarted at the $100 early bird special, so we will be getting all the physical books
And a DM screen.
and a DM screen, which
Like,
was really an awesome deal for any role playing game
yeah,
just out the gate for that. So
yeah. How to save $30?
basically, um, so as of now, I'll probably just like toss up an image possibly right now, or maybe not. I always say that and I never do. The Kickstarter is at $527,436 of its $100,000 goal. It has 5,985 backers, and there's 32 hours to go. So
Yeah,
it's done it by 527%, and I think it was backed. It was funded in 73 minutes. Even says that on his front page.
yeah. It is the most successful Kickstarter Privateer Press has ever done.
They haven't done a lot. There's definitely not. There are definitely shows where people want. That is not the thing I want. I want to see what have they actually created. So if you don't know you don't know about this, Privateer Press is a local company up where we are that does a miniature war game, War Machine and Hordes. They now just have Warcaster that's just recently come out, and they have
Montauk,
Monster
and
Apocalypse,
which is
and
one of the games I really enjoy. And then you also got Riot Quest. That's it, actually.
that's it.
That's
And
it.
they
It's
had
other
a
games.
so it's magic mixed with steampunk set in a fantasy world. So robots, dragons, all that kind of jazz, but still more fantasy.
Something really cool I found out yesterday in one of the comment threads that the one of the guys confirmed was the 3.0 Iron Kingdoms RPG is the reason why we have War Machine Hordes. It was so popular they made a miniature game out of it.
The role playing game came first.
Yep, role playing game came first.
No shit, I did not know that.
I didn't know that either. I was like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, they even say so in like a bunch of their stuff. They talk about how the thing that created the world is back. That's why they did Legends of the Witchfire as the first adventure for this, which
Oh,
we'll get into. But yeah,
I actually have some of the 3.0 books actually somewhere. Oh yeah, they're right next to my actual Iron Kingdom second edition books. I bought them from a friend who was getting rid of them, and I'm kind of like a weird collector of role playing game books.
they're cool books to read. Like, I enjoy them for the story and history you get, and the fact that if you look at Vinter, he's terrifying as hell. Like, holy crap! Like, he's like epic level. He's god level in normal D&D terms for the number of classes he has at max level. He was scary. But this campaign, so they moved the Iron Kingdoms from the second edition, which was their own system, which is how you play War Machine Hordes, which was simple of roll 2d6 or 3d6, max of like 4d6, and then add or subtract numbers.
Movement was measured in inches, which was
Yeah,
honestly that was very fun.
it was
far more.
it was a lot of fun, but when you don't have a lot of it was difficult when you're trying to teach brand new people how to play, and they're all coming from 5-inch squares, and then when they sit there, and then their own conversion to like the 5-foot square thing was pretty awkward.
Yeah,
for their last edition. So people be like, oh, what are we playing on? You just pull out your War Machine thing, pull out all the terrain, and be like, this is what we're playing on, and then yeah, it was awkward.
I was running a campaign that no one had ever even heard of War Machine or Hordes, and I was the one teaching 5 people how to play the game. It was confusing in the sense of more the mechanic side. The moving around and attacking stuff wasn't actually too difficult once I understood my movement is this in inches and I have to be this close to hit something. That was all fairly easy. It was some other stuff was just if you had a very good, well built team, the game felt a far more tactical than like D&D ever feels like to me. D&D is more like you just slam up against the wall until the wall breaks. When at least second edition Iron Kingdoms for me felt like it had more tactics to it. If you had a lot of synergy with your group, that was fun. But then that never happens because you have to specifically build that way, and then you're just stuck and always playing the same kind of party because you can't really make whatever you want in this game. So, did we mention that this is just 5th edition, right? The
Not
news
yet. We're getting there. Like I was
Okay.
gonna be like, here's this. So the new campaign, this new Iron Kingdoms Requiem, which takes place after this huge event they just did in the miniature game called The Claiming, when pretty much hell, the creatures of hell have decided to have shown up to take their due of human souls because one of our gods made a deal with them to give us magic to fight another group of evil people that was influenced by a different faction of hell. That is literally that is sadly the easiest way to describe this stuff. In game, they're called Infernals. They're pretty entertaining. Their faction came out. They came. They showed up. They started killing people, taking their souls. A good chunk of people left to go create Warcaster.
Yeah,
That was
that's where the
that's called the
Warcaster
Exodus.
That's where the Warcaster version comes, which is set well into the future, and it's all
5,000 years later. Yeah. This role-playing game is supposed to take place like a year or two after. They didn't actually give you a time frame. I'm going to assume a year or two because that gives time for some form of establishment of new borders. What is going on with the major kingdoms we have, which in the Iron Kingdoms are the Protectorate of Menoth in the south, Signar in the middle, Kador in the north, Rulik in the north, Eos to the northwest. They're up in the corner. Scorn to the far east, and Crix in the southwest on their little islands. As of right now, we have absolutely no idea what's going on. This is going to be our first look into a post-infernal world. That isn't the Riot Quest. We're just kind of going around trying to steal treasures and not really talk about what's going on or anything like that. Like we haven't had any lore outside of after everybody left to go to space.
And this is why a lot of people have even said they're buying into the game, that they're only kickstarting it to get the PDF, because most PDFs, as you can see, the big thickest books back here, a good 200 pages sometimes is just lore and world building of just explaining what's going on. So a lot of people that play the miniature game and love the miniature game have no idea what's happening in the story to their favorite characters. They're buying they're buying in for $25 to get the PDF,
which is pretty impressive. Like that's a pretty impressive thing. Oh yeah, we should note we are filming this on February 10th, 2021. Because by the time it goes up, the campaign's probably going to be over and a much different number. So as we're filming this, like this is at this time frame when we're discussing it is where the campaign's at. Like that's which right now it's got 2 more stretch goals. They had to create 2 new ones.
Yeah, they very quickly started running out of stretch goals, and you could tell that this was a campaign that they were kind of pulling the stretch goals out of their butt. At certain points of just like, this should have been in the book to start with, or this isn't really a thing. Like, okay, thank you. I don't really need this, but sure, another $15,000 to get to this. But not to complain too much. It's just one of those things when you back enough Kickstarters, you see that you start to notice patterns and stuff that some stretch goals are you can tell when they start to run out of ideas for stretch goals.
Yeah.
And we've blown through a huge amount of them, and it's very cool. And I'm not gonna complain too much about the company, other than the whole idea that a lot of people are buying this book just for the lore. That's all they want the book for. They just want to be able to read and understand the lore, and that's it. That's all they want.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of like, so far based on what they've shown us, which they've shown us a nice good chunk of things that
they've shown us the gun mage.
So for classes we have
gun mage and the warcaster,
which are the 2 I think that most everyone wanted to know, because that's also that's also how it was also like the biggest question, how are warcasters going to work, because warcasters have the most expensive kit outside of any class to start with, and it's kind of terrifying.
They usually start with a magical weapon and magical armor, and most of them can control a steam jack or war jack, which is a gigantic war robot. So in the terms of, yeah, 5th edition D&D, they're
Yeah.
be kind of broken.
So
But
what they're starting with, because I have that pulled up right now.
I couldn't find half that stuff. They stuck it in a lot of stupid places.
Yeah, this almost all their updates are under their update section for the campaign, and then they have 2 articles on their actual webpage about Steamjacks and Mechanica, like how those 2 work, which is another big thing because those kind of make the system. Like it's Warcasters, Steamjacks, and Mechanica. Those are the 3 weirdest things in the and gun mages in the entire thing. Like this would be Eberron jammed with steroids, and Warforged all became, and you made the Warforged all giant mechanical steam powered bashers. That's what this would be in a D&D sense. This is Eberron on steroids, cocaine, heroin, and pretty much everything that could juice him up to like to the extreme. Because it's a really entertaining world. But yeah, they've shown us those 3 classes. They showed us how companies work. So they gave us the pirates update, kind of show like what it does.
See, I like this. So the original thing is you're playing in the 2nd edition. You're usually playing either a military group or your group was a group of mercenaries, and that was the reason why you were together. You're basically given odd jobs to go do stuff. You were fantasy steampunk net runners. That's all it was. It was just that's all it was. It was Shadowrun, but in a steampunk type universe. And this one's kind of still in that same thing that they give you like the same kind of thing like pirates and stuff, but as you level up as like your little team, you gain bonuses and stuff. So as you're a shitty pirate, you do legit start with a boat, which is awesome, but then later on you can get full galleons and groups of people that work for you and NPCs. And I thought
it's a better way. Yeah, it's a better way of the group patron that they gave everybody in Tasha's for 5th edition and what Eberron introduced. So it gives a Tasha's went, here's your base 5. Requiem went, here's an upgrade, which is pretty cool. Like I'd probably actually use some of the ones from Iron Kingdoms for that kind of stuff, which is cool because where are they at? Okay. Huh. They don't actually give you a list of the adventuring companies. They just say adventuring companies.
So back to the Warcaster being the most iconic thing of this. Basically, you're a battle wizard that has the ability to control and take charge of warjacks. And Ted and I have not only played the 2nd edition of the role-playing game, played tons of the miniature game. We've also played a ton of D&D, and I have to say that they did an incredibly good job translating the Warcaster to 5th edition, but keeping the feel of playing the Warcaster. Even as a miniature side, because you have a thing called focus, and you would spend it to do stuff. You get a focus pool in this as well, and it does some really, I have a feeling some stuff I've seen is a lot of stuff hits really freaking hard in this. I'm wondering things hit like a ton of bricks, and I just don't know when you would just. I'm trying to. Okay, so you get focus manipulation at 2nd level, and you can spend focus points. Where is it?
Sorry, I was reading up on the Winter Troll for how hard they actually hit, and oh my god, that's painful.
So for focus points, you just get a certain number of things. You get an attack bonus, you get a damage bonus, which are straight out of the miniatures game. Reduced damage, again, straight out of it, and shake it off. The damage bonus, you spend 3 focus points, and you just do an extra D8 of damage. And you can also give focus allocations to your warjack to do all the same type of stuff. And those warjacks hit like a truck. So I'm wondering if stuff is going, if it's going to be very much like a who shoots first, it's more legitimate, like you might die. But we don't know too much about it. But it looks cool. And then it's just kind of, you have a certain amount of spells known, maximum spell levels, focus points, and cantrips known. So it seems like it's basically more like a very much more wizardy. I get a feeling that the Warcaster is more wizard-like with how they cast just standard spells. But to go with the other stuff, so second edition had like 20 something jobs because it was one of those games that you took 2 jobs, slammed them together, and that's what you made.
Yeah.
This one they took a lot of the jobs and just made it, and basically just made them archetypes for stuff. So like the
Fighter.
paladin Oath of the Wall, it's a paladin now.
Which is what it should have been, like, which is what they are. So that's why it's nice.
I'm trying to see what a fighter is: a battle chaplain, a man at arms, a storm knight.
That's actually pretty cool. Like that's actually one of the
fighters, cool, a pistolier, sharpshooter, or commando. The gun mages is just different orders.
I'm terrified that the
Monk is Way of Deception and Way of the Fist. So these are all like things that came out. They just basically just slapped them on as archetypes into it. Bard is Fellcaller. That's really the one place I could think that Fellcaller would go.
Yeah, but it's like it fits. What's also really great is we know that a lot of these are also like good backgrounds, which probably because they'll probably be in the background section, most likely. What Warcaster, the way they broke down the 3 Arcanist, Controller, and Soldier is pretty nice. Alchemist also really good for how they did that stuff there. It's like, okay, that's better.
Yeah, I'm wanting to know what like the major difference between the Arcanist, Controller, and Soldier. I'm guessing Arcanist is more casting spells. Controller is more focused on Warjack control.
They actually mentioned that in the God, where is it? Where's my other? I have it on here. Oh, I got rid of it. God damn it! Under the Steamjack purview, they actually talk about that because it's like 5,000 crowns to get a Steamjack at base level. If you play a Controller Warcaster, you get one.
Ooh,
yeah, that's
everyone's gonna lean into that. Like that's
probably gonna be the first of the thing, but it's also gonna be a super base Steamjack. Like there's no Warjacks. Here we go. Yeah, if you choose the Controller background at first level, you'll find yourself the proud owner of a clapped out Steamjack. It won't be much, but it'll be all yours, assuming you can feed it spoiler, that is.
Yeah, they take about 700 pounds of water and coal to run.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all this works, and I'm giving a lot like crap. I'm like, cool. That's better than what they did in the last edition, which was you had to be an arcane mechanic to get a jack.
Of that, Ted, you were right. The mechanic is its own class. Combat mechanic and an arcane mechanic are 2 different archetypes now, with Ironhead being another one. So.
Yeah, which I've that makes a whole lot more sense because I was like, there's still the Ironhead. Like
the rules I want to look into, and I would like to see as well is just like maintenance, repair, swapping out parts, and how difficult it is to do. I want to read up on the Horror Hunter under Ranger a little bit more, because that means there's Infernal Hunters now, which makes me kind of happy. And then you have, of course, Mage Hunter, which is probably going to be EOCN only, which is awesome. Speaking of, let's like do a nice little quick like breakdown of just like their table of contents. Like what they're actually giving us, because we're both looking at this and talking about it. That's what I've been actually looking at and being like, oh, I actually when I saw the first link, I looked at all the Warcaster stuff. I completely skipped the table of contents and how much information that actually gives, which is like, oh, here's all the classes.
So here's how many pages are in the setting book. We have 240 pages. So it's under campaign, under FAQ. Your Monsternomicon is 180 pages, and the adventure is 80 pages. This is a course for the Monsternomicon before they're adding in 7 new monsters.
Those are stretch goals.
Those are stretch goals. So I have 100. It's going to be like 190, 200 pages possibly. Probably 190.
I could see pushing 200 because some of those monsters they put in there were pretty big. I could see them
like Deathjack.
Easily all of them being 2-page spreads.
Yeah,
because they're all like boss monsters.
So really quick, as I just doing a quick take a look at, we're at almost 6,000 backers. We are 527,917 earned 5,992 backers with 32 hours still to go. So kind of impressed. I'm like, I bet we're gonna beat 6,000 before this video ends, which is kind of funny as hell.
That would be really funny.
But yeah, so sorry. Table of contents. Chapter 1 is your world. Like, here's what's happened. So you have cosmology, ancient history, present day. The present day section is what I care about the most.
It breaks it down into all the different nations,
which is also amazing. I'm most likely, because I'm a Crix player, I'm going to be skipping the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things to go straight to Crix, because I want to know what my undead have been up to, especially since
I play Khadors. I play steampunk.
He only has to skip 2 things. I'm going to read the whole thing, but Crix is definitely first. Same with the Protectorate, because they left us a massive cliffhanger in a novel the series they never finished, and I was very sad. Chapter 2, the part we all care about the most. Character options. So I like that they kept essences.
Yes. Okay. So from second edition, essences were you had certain classes need to have a certain thing. It was like a boon you had to your guy. You were agile, so you were more for rogues and shifty stuff like that. Gifted was you were magically gifted, and so you could do anything spell casting or be a warcaster. And I want to know how. I'm very curious how that's actually being augmented into 5th edition. I'm glad they're keeping it. I'm glad they're keeping this.
I have a hunch what it's going to be is Mighty is going to be your prereq for things like Man at Arms or Storm Knight. Like I have a hunch it's going to be. I have a hunch they're not going to block out classes fully, except for I think Warcaster.
Oh, you think they're going to do what they did in 2nd edition, where you had to specifically choose intellectual, agile, and that was what locked you out of classes?
No, I think what it's going to be is I think gifted is going to be the only thing that locks you out of classes. I think what the others are going to do is they might lock you out of the archetypes. So some archetypes can only be taken by some things if you are something. So
okay, that would make sense.
Because for Man at Arms in the game are more representative of like the Ogren. So they're big, they're huge, they carry a spear. You have to use 2. Everyone else has to use 2-handed with another buddy because they're so big, and the Ogren use 1-handed. I could see Mighty being there. Gifted, I honestly can see the gun mage and the warcaster being you have to be gifted to play those.
Yeah, there's no other
because
because there were sorcerers. There's no sorcerers in this.
Nope.
Like a sorcerer type analog in 2nd edition. There isn't one of those in this game now.
Yeah, I have a hunch that's going to be in the Horde. I think that's going to be in the Hordes one. Like, because like right now, a lot of people's guesses are going to be that as soon as this campaign finishes, they're going to probably wait a couple weeks and then put up the Hordes version.
Which is the other side of the miniatures game, which is more based on gigantic war beasts. And
which is also something I will back.
It's more nature-y and stuff. I also own all of those. I own all of the books for 2nd edition.
Yeah, like there was a lot of things that they never got around to finishing up, unfortunately. Then their old website server crashed and they lost everything. And there was a lot of things that were amazing that they had just come out with for the thing, because they were coming out with new models and they're putting those models into rules for the RPG and just a bunch of stuff going on that unfortunately we don't know about, but that's okay. We don't work for the company.
So once Ted starts going through the races, I will give the D&D equivalent to what they are.
Yeah. So races, we've got we have our standard Iron Kingdom's War Machine side races. We have the Gobber.
They're goblins.
We have the Human. They're the humans. Eosin.
Elves.
High elves. I would say high elves.
Once you got to Nis, I was going to be kind of like darkish, evilish, something.
Yeah, Nis Nis are elves and War Machine from Iron Kingdoms from the far north. They live in the ice and snow. they're and everything like that. So they're
Yeah, I
viewed
guess
as evil.
Iosin being high elves and Nis being more like normal elves is actually more of a closer analog.
Yeah, Eosin are like high mage. We live on our own thing. We cut everything off and go away. They're most known for being mage hunters, so they hunt down human spellcasters because of what to try and give magic back to their gods, which we all found out is true. Which I love. That's the one thing about the infernal thing coming is, oh, hey, yeah, the Eosin gods actually did lose all their magic because the infernals went, ours humans have. So they have a reason to be upset with all of us. Under Ranger, you'll notice there's a Mage Hunter. That's why I have a hunch there's going to be some lockouts because they're only I can only see them being Eosian or Nis. So, Ogren.
Ogres.
Yeah, they're ogres.
They're big and they're
Ogrekin.
bright freaking blue. If you go by like the actual, like.
Well, no, Ogrins are big and brown and black skinned. Trollkin are the blue one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
then we have Rulik dwarves, which are just dwarves.
Just dwarves. They're just their version of dwarves. They actually
cool
added dwarf to it. They used to just be called Rulik. They were Rulik.
I think
I don't think dwarf was ever added to it until now.
I think they changed that because you have Rulik Ogren. Because Ogren you have Ogren that live in the Rulik society, Ogren that live in Crix, Ogren that live in. So honestly, I'm kind of hoping that's what we're going to see under Ogren is you come like where you come from, kind of like what they do with most races in D&D, because that'd be kind of cool to play a black Ogren out of the Shard Islands, which is where Crix is from, by the way.
And then the last one's Trollkin, which are just big old hulking.
Trolls. They're highly more intelligent trolls.
They're bulkier. They're more like an orc than when I think a troll, which is more like a World of Warcraft troll. They're super bulky and beefy looking dudes.
And they're called Trollkin because actual trolls are huge and terrifying, like the winter troll.
Yeah, they're gigantic, basically walking mountains.
There we go. And then, which is like, I'm like, cool. They have all the base races there. That's awesome. Can't wait to see what's going to be the thing. Like right now, we're looking at this we have no access to anything yet.
Yeah, just
only whatever previews they've given us. I haven't watched any of the staff play the game because I want to see the rules and stuff myself before I look into like a playing guide, because I know how to play 5th edition. And I don't want to look at people's builds and be like, I want to build that build. I want to I want to see what I can do for myself real fast. Classes, we kind of touched on this a bit, kind of just being super excited fanboys a little bit.
You can go over we can go over Requiem. So there's Alchemist, which is the combat alchemist, synthesist, or rogue alchemist.
Which I'm excited to see that one.
The Bard has Fell Caller. That's the part that makes it that. The
which is going to be a Trollkin only. And they're literally just Trollkins that shout at people, and everyone gets inspired by them.
Yeah. Clerics gain Divine Domain, Benefaction, Guile, or Obedience.
I have a hunch Obedience might be the Menoth one.
Yeah, I'm just general divine caster kind of thing. The fighter,
it's a cleric. Nothing changed for the cleric.
The fighter, except for giving it just a little bit of like Iron Kingdom's seasoning.
Yeah.
The fighter has Battle Chaplain, Man at Arms, and Storm Knight, which are all just that Iron Kingdom's pepper and salt. Gunfighter, Pistolier, Sharpshooter, and Commando. The Gun Mage are the Order of the Arcane Tempest, Thorn, and Lone Gun, which gun mages come from different orders. And
I think
what that is.
I think Lone Gun. Yeah, I think Lone Gun is going to be the new. You're not a part of Signar.
So anyone can be a gun mage, yeah. Because it used to be most gun mages were with groups from Lael or Signar, and they're constantly at war with Khador, and so it was kind of annoying to have a gun mage that was with a bunch of Khadorians. It made no sense. Monk is Way of Deception in the Way of the Fist, which is probably very much also a protector of Menoth type deal. Yeah,
Way of the Fist was a Menoth. Was the protector of Menoth.
I went over Mechanica already, which is basically just they're able to build Mechanica, which is magical equipment, and deal with warjacks.
Yep. Paladin,
Paladins,
Oath of Radiance,
Radiance.
which is the Morrow version, and then Oath of the Wall, which is the Menoth version.
Yeah.
And also the literal only Khador thing in the class section.
Order of the Wall.
Yeah, they're in Khador and Menoth. That's where they're two. Those are the
I
two.
think they're more in Menoth.
They're more Menoth, but but they also can come from Khador. That's why it's like, wow, that's the only thing so far that's actually Khadoran.
Yeah, I'm realizing that. It kind of bugs me that there isn't a lot of so there isn't a bunch of Khador stuff, but for Ranger,
Bounty Hunter,
Mage Hunter, and Horror Hunter, which you're probably right. Horror's probably
probably,
Infernals.
which I'm excited to see. I'm hoping that's going to be for the Witch Hunter group that they've talked about, and they came out with a little faction of for a while.
Rogue is Cutthroat and Duelist, which those are just straight jobs, just pulled right from the second edition, just made into archetypes. And then we talked about Warcaster already.
Yeah, Arcanist, Controller, and Soldier. We don't know what the first and the third does. We know the second one gives you a Steam Jack and lets you play with focus probably a bit more. That's what I'm just gonna guess from the fact that you choose at level 1. So yeah, Warcaster is definitely your wizard.
Yeah, that's
you choose at level 1 what you're doing. And then chapter 3, yeah, then it goes multi-classing, backgrounds, and adventuring companies. We talked about the Pirate, that's an adventuring company. Chapter 3 is your magic. We only have a brief spell page.
Yeah, channeling, spell list, spell descriptions, and new magic items. So
that's going to be cool to see.
Yeah, chapter 4 is just equipment, armor, weapons, adventuring gear, mementos.
And then the part everyone likes the most and cares about, Mechanica.
Is
which they gave us their own.
Yeah. They have their own little thing that they came out with. Mechanica is, if you don't know, it's you need a power source, something to hold that power source, in the housing itself. So basically, you need put a D battery into a sword and charge it. The electricity being the power source, the battery being the capacitor, and the housing being the sword. It's basically just I looked at it. They are actually pretty cool how they work. They have charges. Yeah. And I'm intrigued by that. You can actually, once they're expended, you can then recharge it. So even if you have something that expends charges, once it's blown, you get to reuse it because it's a very interesting way of doing magic items that aren't magic. So this is going to have a lot more magic
kind of like with Eberron. Like I think Eberron is going to be the closest comparison to what a magic item heavy world's going to look like.
This is going to be very magic heavy.
Yeah. Then chapter 5 is all about Steam Jacks, which we kind of discussed a bit beforehand.
Which is what I want to know about is the gear and upgrades and repairing, because that's one thing that my group always did is if you go up against a Warjack and you disable it or destroy it, hey, look, you have a Warjack now, as long as you can recover its core attacks and it's in well-working order, you have at least, like you said, 5,000 gold worth of material that you can easily fix and sell. You can even part it out. That's the one downfall a little bit of Iron Kingdoms. You have an incredibly powerful group, and so you need to start sending them some pretty big stuff, and so you start sending them against other Warjacks. Well, then they knock them out and they just bring them back, and they either salvage their arms and all the working parts and get rid of and sell them to make money to buy new stuff, or they straight up just you kill the controller and the Warjack goes dormant and they can just take it.
That's why you send them against Crixian Jacks. You don't want to salvage that. Or sell that.
Or just war beasts and stuff. So I'm hoping there's actually like I'm hoping they keep the weapon damaging, that certain things get destroyed, like arms and cortexes and stuff and movements. That was a big thing in second edition, and even in the miniature game, that you can actually damage and break their arms and stuff and spread the damage out, because if not, then it'd be kind of annoying.
Holy crap, these guys are painful.
Oh, did you just read the thing?
I'm reading up on the Forager Light Steam Jack.
Oh yeah, no, it's like
so I can, and that's just a light. I'm terrified for it. Everything else. And chapter 6, of course, is the GM section. It's short, sweet, which it should be, and then the appendix is NPCs, as it should be. So it'll be interesting to see how these all read. We do know that with all the things that they have actually unlocked, as I just literally turned to it and it updates to 5,990, 6,002 backers. I literally just watched it update twice when I just flipped to it. That's kind of funny. So we beat 6,000 backers, or they beat 6,000 backers. But like, I know that with a bunch of the updates we have, as I'm scrolling down to it, because there's a lot. We have gridded battle tiles for the streets of one city, a form fillable PDF of the character sheet, the monster Death Jack for the Monsternomicon, a digital extra tokens, whatever, campaign handouts for the adventure.
Just helpful.
Yeah, Warjack Mechanica reference card set, very helpful. A slag troll for the Monsternomicon, a bookmark for the main book, new artwork for the GM screen, adventure hooks, the Twilight Sisters for the Monsternomicon, the gridded battle tiles, which is, by the way, we're at 250 right now for the add-ons. Character portraits for digital gaming, meh. Coins, a coin handout.
Explain what the money looks like.
Which is cool. But yeah, a Sea Drake for the Monsternomicon, 280. At 305, we have an Iron Kingdoms map poster, which shows us what the world looks like post-Infernals, which has been needed. A random encounter set, PDF. A spell reference card set, also very useful. A named character from Circle, the Lord of the Feast for the Monsternomicon. Legendary magic items, that's a PDF. Their main rulebook becomes hyperlinked. The IK Urban Dictionary, so we can use slang, which I kind of find adorable.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
390, the painted Tatzel worm. Tatzel, think of a giant snake. It's just a giant snake that will eat you in one bite. And then at 415, we got, which they hit last night. Last night. 415, Legend of the Witchfire gridded battle tiles. So now we've got specific locations in the adventure now have their own battle tile set. At 425, we've got a symbol glossary, which is useful for brand new people to the setting. Another digital extra is a calendar, holidays, and moon phases handout, which has been needed for 2 editions.
Yep, we have never known the actual calendar and how it works for the Iron Kingdoms.
Yep. The Witchwood, another creature, got added at 445. And we got more adventure hooks. That's always good. So the PDF got expanded. They beat
bookmark.
Yeah, they beat Warcaster. We got a second bookmark.
Yeah, they beat what Warcaster was at, which was 459,634.
Yeah. We got more random encounters at 465. More legendary items at 475. And then we got to 485 and got the Wold Warden. And then the thing that I honestly did not think they were going to get to, and I was wrong. The Legend of the Witchfire NPC and monster cards got unlocked at 515.
And everybody's getting that for free if they've gotten a paper version.
Which like if they were going to charge me for that, I'd be like, okay, but it better be like super cheap, like $5. Because you just made 515K.
Yeah, I've actually not looked at this for a little while when you're like, it's more adventure hooks and it's more random encounters. And I'm like, oh, because there's a point where I was just getting inundated with freaking emails because they like hit a point yesterday where everyone's all of a sudden, but that happens every time near the end of a Kickstarter campaign. Everyone's like, okay, if enough stretch goals get, then I'll kick in.
Yeah.
And most of the time I'm like, is it going to even make it? I'll pay in and whatever.
So the current 2 we're working for, 545, it's a GM toolbox compilation with all new artwork, cover art. Pretty much all the digital upgrades that are like your random encounters, your adventure hooks, the glossary, the coins, like all this stuff becomes its own like one thing, which is honestly useful.
It's useful and it's something they could have just done.
Yeah, they could have just done.
Like I said,
they are out of Kickstart. They're out of stretch goals because they specifically said 515 was their last stretch goal. Back when we got to back to when we got to the second bookmark, when we beat the record. It was, they said 515 was where they had the last stretch goals planned out to, was that one. And then at 565, which the thing I find the most is, they've announced a new model for the Grimkin faction called the Slaughterhouse. It's literally an evil house that will eat you. If we get to that point, it'll be added to the Monsternomicon.
A thing that's just been announced as a miniature.
Like, just announced in December, which is kind of entertaining. And now we're just going to scroll back up and see where we're at now. Nope.
I don't think it's changed.
529,000. So yeah, we're getting there. But yeah, the other really cool thing is they have a list of miniatures that you can add on to help with your game. There's a lot of them in here that are like, okay, this is pretty entertaining.
See, I didn't know those were actually miniatures to add on.
Yeah, when you go to the add-on section, you can just add on these miniatures. And some of them are cheaper than what their actual things are.
Than buying the actual model.
Example is Captain Rahera, Terror of the Wailing Seas, is $10 as an add-on for the game, for the Iron Kingdoms. She is $14.99 before tax when you buy it separately. So if you're buying it for War Machine, maybe more. So I was like, oh, that's actually kind of useful. Like, there's some things I might be picking up that are going to be for my my Crix army.
This has honestly awoken, because Ted and I,
we used to play.
We swerved pretty hard into Warhammer recently, in about the last year. We kind of leaned pretty hard into 40K and Age of Sigmar, like both actually starting armies, and kind of just went what Privateer kind of did with the lore and stuff, and how they handled the claiming and stuff. We're just like, okay, now we're just kind of like, whatever. This has kind of awoken an actual urge to play the actual miniature game as well in me, and Ted went out and bought a shitload of models and everything. Bought armies.
Yeah, a friend of mine was selling his stuff. Selling their stuff. I bought it from them, and he got all of the Circle Oribos. I kept the Crix and Minions, and I'm like, look, I now have a lot of models for the IKRPG.
Bunch of models.
So I'm actually going to be.
They're probably not in the Monsternomicon because
actually all the Bog Trogs are. So I have a bunch of Bog Trogs for that. So I have like Mechanothralls. Like, I have a bunch of things I could use. Plus, if I decide to play like a Paladin or the Wall, I've got models for that. Yeah, like people want to play Pirates, I have some Shard Pirates for that. Like, I have some stuff, so it's kind of entertaining.
There's much else to really go over until we kind of learn more. Once we actually, because they'll probably put out the PDFs to us before they ever give us the physical copies. I'm kind of expecting.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
If anything, by now, if this is anything like the last 5th edition game that I did, like, they got the core book out because it was already mostly done while they were working on the actual campaign. So I could see in the next few months, because this is going to be supposed to be sent out in September, but the world of COVID, we can't know. I could see us in the next couple months actually having the physical book, because all the add-ons are specifically for the Monsternomicon, not for the Requiem core book. But I can see us getting that in and actually going over and figuring out, like, hey, what's all this then? And actually getting to delve deeper into.
Oh, I might start a Retribution army because of this thing. One of the Warcasters I really like, Thyron, the Sword of Truth, is $16 as an add-on. He is a $23 model before tax.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll be doing that.
Well, we have some Retribution stuff that I don't think we're really using. If you wanted to possibly buy that.
Considering that was one of the things I did, considering you get stuff I actually did want for like starting a circle army, yeah, that's Retribution army. That would be definitely on the thing. Anyway, as we get into like a little haggling thing in mid video, where are we?
Is there? I don't think there's really anything else to really go over right now until we know more when the thing is released, or at least when we get the PDFs.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I actually already made space in my my 5th edition, my RPG shelf, which is pretty much D&D 5th edition, the Cthulhu Mythos for 5th edition, all the extra stuff for 5th edition, and then Soulbound.
Mine'll get stuck up there somewhere. I don't know where exactly. I got a bunch of actual copies of books that are coming in Kickstarters. But
yeah, I still have Age of Antiquity coming in. A friend kickstarted Red Opera in my name. So I'm excited for that. That's that warlock centric world.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, this will be kind of cool to read. I'm excited for that. That should be being shipped, and oh yeah, Overboss finally shipped, by the way. So
still waiting on some stuff to get shipped to me, but we're done with this now. So
yeah.
We have a coffee account. If I didn't mention that, I don't remember.
Not yet, no.
We have a coffee account if you wanted to donate to the channel to help do whatever, buy us sodas when we actually record, because that's always the goal, is to have snacks. You can also like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, check out the Twitter account for the channel, our Twitter accounts.
I have a Patreon.
Ted has a Patreon, which I will link in the thing below. You run games for people.
Yeah, if you pledge at the pledge levels for the Patreon are, if you pledge at the highest level, $20, you get to play in a once a month game that is, you can be in, you can not be in. It gives you the opportunity to be able to just play. This will also go into when things reopen to be a lot safer. I'll be doing these at a couple game stores physically as well, and I'll be mentioning that hey, on this day at the store, I am running this game. Price goes up to this much if you want to play, because I'll be putting some money back into the game store no matter what to help them out. But other than that, the lower levels get you access to pretty much, you could pick a color scheme for things I'm working on for different armies and stuff I play. You get to pick you get to enjoy the stories of some of my adventuring of my other groups I run and everything like that. So it's just, yeah. It also just helps me out every month, because at the beginning of the month, it gives me something to help pay for Roll20. It helps just get stuff together, so I'm good to go for a little bit longer. But yeah, that's my Patreon. Well, Theo's Dungeon Crawler Club.
That's our shilling then. So until the next one.
And to finish it off, we are ending. The Kickstarter is at $529,018 and has 6,007 backers with 31 hours to go. That is how.